confidence, and they'll see a wounded animal in Germany. So yeah, I'm really looking forward to that one. I want to make sure I sit myself in front of the box for that one. I think it's fair to say that one of the great games of the tournament so far, especially second half, is Portugal, Ghana. Ronaldo up to his old tricks of years ago, days gone by, falling over in the box, absolutely conning the referee, and disgraceful, really, to be fair, in 2022. But fair play, he got up, slightly the penalty away. First player to have scored in 5 World Cups, never been done before. And when you talk about great players, you know, you look at him, you look at Neymar. I don't think there's a comparison, if I'm honest. But you know, he, for all his faults, and he's having a tough time, and at his club level, he's actually unemployed. He's actually Cristiano Ronaldo at this time of speaking is unemployed, and that's unheard of. But I think he's caught between a rock and a hard place, isn't he? Because he's a great player, but he commands such a salary. But he's of an age where the top clubs, I don't think he's going to make them any better. And the focus will be all about him if he was to go somewhere at the moment. Smaller clubs can't really afford him, and clubs such as Newcastle that could afford him probably don't want that attention, because they're going great, aren't they, in the Premier League under Eddie Howe, with some homegrown players, but also some other signings they've made that, whilst Bruno Guimaraes, you know, he's a great Brazilian midfielder, but they're doing it with without the superstars, and I just don't think, you know, if he goes along, Almiron and Joel Linton, you know, Ronaldo will take the shine off that. And I've heard that I think it's some Saudi Arabian club have made an offer for Ronaldo, and that's fine. They can afford that, and they'd love the marquee signing and a superstar. But I think Ronaldo, with his ego, and that's not being disrespectful, by the way. He can command that ego. You know, he can have an ego because he's done everything he can. He's a fantastic player. I'm not sure he wants to go just yet. I think he thinks he's got more to offer. But going back to the game against Ghana, 3-2, really good game to watch. I only caught a little bit of it, but Ghana almost come back and got a point out of that one, but it was good to watch nevertheless. So I think there's been, as well as some really massive scores, some shocks, there's been some other controversy really at the World Cup, and it's not so much about there was the armband thing for the captains, but I want to move on from that. I just think, you know, you're a footballer, just play football on this world stage. Don't try and make statements at the moment, because it's too political. And whilst they are role models and people look up to them, you could, by trying to do the right thing, you could invariably get things wrong. So, but the controversy for me has been some of the refereeing decisions of VAR. I mean, what's all this 9-10 minutes at the end of the game, or in the first half, all about? And also the level of refereeing has been really poor for me. We watch the Premier League week in, week out. We give those refs a real hard time at times because, and rightly so, some of the decision making is awful. But when I see what's out there, I just think, wow, we've got a lot better referees than what's across the rest of the world at the moment. So, yeah, I think some of the referees are getting conned. I think they're playing to the occasion rather than playing a football match, you know, refereeing a football match. So, look, I don't want to be too critical because it's a tough gig, and I'm sure it's you know, there's a lot of nerves. And, you know, if my son or daughter was an official at the World Cup, I'd be proud as punch, and I wouldn't want everybody on their back if they were making some poor decisions. But by the same token, it's clear to see it's not the best, is it? It really isn't the best at the moment. But nonetheless, you know, the tournament started okay. It's not really caught light yet, but it never generally does at this stage. But we've already seen some highlights. You know, we said before at World Cups, you see some players and there's some characters. We've seen your Roger Millers, your Toto Scalacci's, your El Hadj Diouf that got a move to Liverpool on the back of a World Cup. And I think if we look at Enner Valencia, played in England before, you know, top scorer so far. He's doing all right for himself. So we're starting to see that, and I think some of the goalkeeping. I've been, you know, really impressed by some of the goalkeepers, some of their performances, and you know, a lot of these goalkeepers out there are playing with their feet a lot more, but they're able to to command their box still and pull off some good saves. So, be interesting to go into the second week when there's a little bit more up for grabs in those second games, because for some of the teams it will be the end of their tournament. For some of the teams it will mean getting through the group stages into the knockout rounds. And for those that are flying ahead, will qualify, it'll be whether they play a really great nation or maybe not one of the best nations. So there's a lot more to play for in those second games, I think, a lot more riding on the games. And that's before we get into the knockout stages. But yeah, really good to see. I can't wait, like I said, for the Germany-Spain game. I think that's going to be one to watch. Don't take your eyes off the French. They've got a team, let it be seen, that they really are doing well. Obviously the Brazilians can't be underestimated. Started well, they'll get stronger. I thought Casemiro had a fantastic game. He looks really comfortable in that yellow Brazilian shirt, doesn't he? And they got a lot of strength and depth on the bench. But I think Argentina and Germany, they've got something to do. I think Argentina will be fine. Germany, if they get beaten by Spain, that's it for them. So a lot to look forward to, and look forward to updating you on the next episode. Thanks for listening. If you enjoyed this episode and you'd like to support the podcast, please subscribe, leave a rating and a review. If you'd like to be part of the podcast or you'd like me to cover a specific subject, then do contact me on Instagram at freeforallpod, on Twitter at freeforallpod, or email me at freeforallpod@gmail.com. Thanks again, and I'll see you next time.